Welcome back, my apprentices of mathematics. Here's your coach. Today, I am Robin. That's it. I am your coach, Robin. And today's date is October, let's write it today, 22nd, 19. Okay, okay, simple instructions divide. Check your work with multiplication. Alrighty then. So, we've been doing sort of like this process for a while. Step one, step two. Step two consists of the division, and step one is we're going to either estimate or we find multiples. To find multiples, all right, let's look at this. So we're gonna write this division from left to right, and this is the symbol that it has is a half a square. So it's going to be 5 and 6/10 divided by 16. Okay, one thing I ask my students to always try to picture is this. Let me block this so you can see it better. Now, what I tell my students is to look at this number, and if you can cover the decimal and say, okay, can I make, can I create a group of 16 out of 5? And the answer is going to be no. So when you know that the answer is going to be always less than 1. Okay, so that was just a little side note that I wanted to make you aware of. So now I'm going to continue with the division. So now I say, okay, how many groups of 16 can I make out of 56? And the answer is, well, in this case, we can do multiples of 6. We can, what is that word? We can estimate, but I think it's better to just do multiples of 66. What does that mean? Well, that means 16 times 16. Some students can do the same thing, but you can do it with addition. That will be 32 right here, right? 16 times 2 equals 32. Or you can do 16 plus 16. It will give you the same response. So our goal is to get to 56. So now we do 16 times 3. 3 times 6 equals 18. You carry 1 over. 3 times 1 equals 3 plus 1 equals 4. That's 48. Okay? So we're getting closer. So we can do 16 times 4. 4 times 6 equals 24. You carry 2 over. And 4 times 1 equals 4 plus 2 equals 6. That will be 64. Okay, so that's closer to this. But I think our best bet is this one right here. So our answer it should be 3. So the 16 goes into 5.6. Oh wait, let's bring up the decimal point. And we already said that it is 3 times. When you multiply 3 times 16, you already have the answer here. It's 48. Write 48 right below the 56. The difference between those two numbers is 8. Okay? I didn't borrow, just I counted up to 50 and then 6 more, that will be 8. Now, can we give this number a 0? Well, yes, let's see if we can find a more decimals number, more decimals on the quotient. So now we know that 16 can go into 80 how many times? Well, we already have this setup right here. So let's see, 5 times 6 equal 30, you carry 3 over. 5 times 1 equals 5 plus 3 equals 8. Oh, look at that. So now we can see that, let me get another color. 5 is the answer, so 16 goes into 80 5 times. 5 times 16, we already have the answer. 5 times 16 is 80. We place that below the other 80, and the remainder should be 0. Okay? Now we have to check. Why do we have to check? Checking is important because that way you know your division is correct. So we're going to multiply the divisor times the quotient up here. Let me do that. So check is step 3. Check with multiplication. Okay. So now we have the quotient is 3500 times 16. Okay. So, and this is step 3. Step 3. So it's 3500 times, what was that? What was the divisor? 16. Okay. So 6 times, we can do two things. We can multiply this number times 100 to make it 35. And those of you, just to remind you, remember, if you multiply 3500 on a place value chart, right? So here's 3500, correct? If you do that, when you multiply it by 100, that means the number is gonna has to be 100 times bigger, or yes, 10 to the power of 2, 1, 2. So the number lands right here. The 5 moves to the left again, 1, 2. That number goes there. So that's the answer is now 35. So now we have no decimal, so it's easier to multiply. You can do it either way. So 6 times, let me get a different color. 6 times 5 equals 30. You carry 3 over. 6 times 3 equals 18 plus 3 equals 21 plus the second quotient. This now is a 0 because we multiplied it. So we multiply 10 times 35 and the answer is 350. Or you can just say 0, we write the placeholder for the tens. We say 1 times 5 equals 5 and 1 times 3 equals 3. And the product is 560. This should be the same thing. 6 times 5 equals 30. You carry 3 over. 6 times 3 equals 18 plus 3 equals 21. And 1 times 35 equals, or 10 times 35 equals 350. And again, the total will be the same. Is the dividend the same number? Well, we're missing something. Do you see what we're missing? Yes, we are. We're missing a decimal. If there's a decimal here, we have to make sure there are those decimals on the answer going the opposite direction. 1, 2. So now we know that this is 5.60. Now, what happens over here? Well, because we multiplied it 35 times 100, now we have to divide this times 100. So when you divide this times 100, guess what? It gives you the same answer that you have here. Watch this video again, my friends. It is a wonderful, marvelous process. Enjoy it and become a good mathematician. Signing out, your coach, Mr. Robin from Gravity 2 Studio.